What's up, guys, and welcome back to 8 Count. So today we'll be speaking about the Canelo Alvarez situation, where he just signed a two-fight deal, with Dimitriv Bivol and Triple G at the end of the sort of year, hopefully, if he does get through Dimitriv Bivol. So let's talk about how this fight has sort of taken place, how it's come together. So obviously this fight has been offered by Eddie Hearn. Apparently it's up to like $85 million, which is probably the biggest sort of fee for a free agent. I think a lot of people don't realize how that Canelo Alvarez is a free agent since leaving Golden Boy. So this is the big deal, meaning that even after this two-fight deal, he can go anywhere and anywhere else. So initially, the deal was from PBC and Eddie Hearn's The Zone, where I think from PBC they offered him to fight Charlo, and apparently it was really good sums. When I say PBC, I'm talking about Al Heyman fighters such as Charlo, Celeb Plant, the Charlo brothers, and etc. However, Eddie Hearn managed to secure that deal, fighting Canelo, Dimitriv Bivol, and Triple G at the end of the year. Now, it is quite astonishing and quite remarkable for him to fight Dimitriv Bivol at light heavyweight. You have to realize that Bivol is an undefeated fighter, currently with 19 wins and 11 KOs. So he's a solid fighter. I'm not going to be giving predictions anytime soon. Right now, gonna see it get closer to the fight. I think the last time that Canelo fought like towards around that weight was against Kovalev. Seeing him as he stopped this. So it's gonna be a good set of it's gonna be good boxing, especially with Canelo, trying to challenge himself over and over again, and seeing how he sort of, plays out in his body, especially with his team, especially like Eddie and Reynoso. They've got such a solid team together right now that is, at this time, it's really hard for anyone stopping Canelo. And obviously we always say maybe that fighter, but this fighter. But Bivol is very interesting because he is a killer in this division. And it'd be really interesting to see how the weight plays out. Obviously, Bivol's last 3 fights have been against, obviously, Omar Salamov, which was a unanimous decision, Craig Richards, which was a unanimous decision, and Lennon Castillo, which was a unanimous decision. But, when light heavy, when you move up, when you move down, you do lose that sort of, power, and not power, but maybe the punch resistance. So that's what we may be able to see from Canelo for any vulnerability, if I'm thinking of. And in terms of Canelo's last 3 fights, we're looking at, obviously, you probably know, it is Celeb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, and Avni Yildirim. So obviously, you can see right now, Canelo is the sort of, he's probably the Mayweather of the division right now, to be honest. He's picking and choosing, he's earned that right. I know a lot of PBC fighters and a lot of American sort of fighters are a bit, disappointed at why he didn't fight Charlo or even Benavidez. I mean, in my opinion, it depends really how you see it, right? He's making a lot of money. Canelo is a businessman right now. It's fair to say he's not scared of those fighters, but if Bivol is making enough money and he can get another championship belt around him, then why not? Benavidez is a hard fight, don't get me wrong, and Charlo. But I think Canelo recently came out with sort of a interview. I don't know who he was with, but he said these fighters have to fight each other. And I think that's really true. That everyone's trying to wait for that payday with Canelo, but none of these fighters are fighting each other. We don't see Charlo stepping in with Andrade, or we don't see Benavidez stepping in with Kelly Plant or any and Billy Joe Saunders, etc. This fight is going to be taking place in the Mexican weekend in America, but it'll be interesting to see how Canelo moves up in weight, especially with the whole sort of, he's been moving up and down, and that takes a really big toll on his body. I think the last time he went up was against Sergey Kovalev, obviously for the light heavyweight title. We know Sergey Kovalev is not the killer that he once used to be, but that's still going up, and then he dropped right back down. Interestingly, the second part of this deal that he just signed is against Triple G. Now, this will be Triple G's Trilogy fight. Obviously, this is a very sort of interesting sort of fight. They've, obviously Triple G's was The Zone. It's because You know, Canelo and Triple G have got some history, and they've got two fights in history, one being a draw and one being Canelo winning. Now, a lot of people in the boxing sphere think that Triple G won that fight. Now, Triple G himself believes his recent tweets and recent remarks that he has won that fight. So, in terms of saying, like, we know that Triple G can take the power. We know, he's got that solid chin. We know that he hasn't been outboxed. What we sort of see, obviously on paper, Canelo won the fight, but it was very by margin that if someone did give it to Canelo, but either way, it could have went to Triple G or Canelo. However, the most significant factor in this fight is two factors actually. One, Canelo dropping back down in weight. That's gonna, especially the next fight, that's gonna take I feel like that's gonna, unless he doesn't have a strict sort of coaching, that's gonna take a lot out of him. Especially because moving up and down, there's weight. Boxers say there's weight divisions for a reason, and moving up and down is not so easy. You just can't, fluctuate your body and put your body through immense stress, and then Triple G fighting. I think he's around 38, 40 years old. Don't, correct me if I'm wrong. He hasn't been really active after the Canelo loss. He's got a fight again in Tokyo and coming up soon as well. So Triple G is aging. Canelo is only getting better. Does Triple G have the skills and the power still, and the sort of, the will to win again? Because let's be honest, after the fight against Canelo, Triple G has sort of dipped down a bit. He hasn't fought anyone, but like Canelo, he's fighting 2-3 times. He's chasing that legacy. He's chasing that, power, and which, of course, you have to give all credits to Canelo. However, you might think if he won the fight or if he didn't win the fight against Triple G. But it's really interesting. Big props to Eddie Hearn. He managed to pull it out the bag once again. It's really hard with fighters like Canelo, especially sometimes when they have such big egos. And Canelo is a hungry, driven fighter. Now, to see him against Bivol, now all what I'm saying, it only happens if you beat Bivol. If you can't beat Bivol, then there's a rematch. Then there's all sorts of things in the equation. Now we have to realize here, folks, that Bivol is a strong contender, and he can, if he uses his skills, if he uses that power, he can beat Canelo. However, it's such a low risk sort of percentage that he might do. I mean, a lot of people are saying like he can do, but let's see what happens. Well, let me know what you think about these two fight deal with Eddie Hearn, and how you think Canelo is playing out to be the next king of boxing, basically, and the face of boxing. Like and subscribe, and if you have any comments, please leave it in the comments section.